welcome to the last episode of Season 1 of Sharpest Tool, Episode 8, Signs of Infection. We have a jam-packed, action-packed episode. Same as last time, we have a lot going on. Not all of it I'm going to be able to show in Sims the same way that I want it to go down, so listen to my narration, not necessarily what's happening on screen. There's one scene right at the end that I think I have some stuff in Sims to hopefully make it look cool. It just might, it might take like a mini break in the middle so I can set it up so you don't see too much behind the scenes as I'm clicking on things. But, I really want to get, the Sims to actually do what I want them to, so I might, like, kick it to commercial for, like, a brief second, kind of an awkward place near the end, just so I can set up a couple poses and things. Okay, we'll see how it goes at the end, though. We're just gonna, you know what, I'm gonna not stress, we're gonna kick back and we're gonna get into this, because I have a lot of stuff that I'm excited to show you. Without further ado, let's, jump into this episode. We, jump back into our finale episode here in the lair. Let me get my script to the right part, as it is a little bit later at night, and Florence is kind of here in the hallowed halls of the lair, a little bit later after most people have left, as she kind of walks past Joseph and Adam, those two recruits that Isaiah brought to Dmitri, who I kind of gave a couple of conflicting stories about why they were a bit scraped up the other day that Florence has heard, and they kind of try and give some subtle glances at Florence as she walks by, sort of halting conversation, switching to another topic that she sort of pretends to not notice, but definitely notices that they're doing as she walks by. Another little tick against Dmitri and whatever he's doing to add to Florence's suspicions that something is afoot in the league lately. But it's not going to deter what she is in the middle of doing right now, as she's headed to the archives, of course, kind of making sure that she's being very cautious, checking around corners, looking around, making sure that no one's necessarily down here at this end of the hallway, at this part of the deep bellows of the lair, and snooping around or anything, making sure that no one is in the archives as well. She slips in and goes right back over to the cabinet that she checked the other day, realizing that a couple of the dark tomes were missing, a couple of really powerful hidden archived spells over here, as she unlocks the cabinet again, still making sure to not really read the spells herself, because the words are so powerful that she knows that it can really take over your mind, even if you try and bring any of the words into your psyche. But just flipping through the pages again, as she's noticing that, as she kind of feared, and the reason she was going to check these is that there are a few more pages missing yet again. As she checked last time, there were a few pages missing from some of the binders. Even more are gone now, with a heavy sigh of despair as she realizes that a lot more of her suspicions are continuing to be confirmed. Florence kind of stares at it for a while. She's got her messenger bag with her, as she was kind of heading out for the night, but decided on a whim to kind of check down here. Just kind of an intuition, wanted to check one last time. And seeing that her suspicions were confirmed, she's going to try and as carefully as possible and as quietly as possible scoop up all the rest of the dark tomes that are stuck in this warded, protected cabinet here, and put them in her bag as gently as possible and as stealthily as possible, so it doesn't look like there's papers bulging out of her bag, but taking the rest of the dark tomes with her to not be utilized in any way by anyone else. Back in at our main three's house, and a scene that's, I guess, slightly familiar in some ways, but a little bit different in others, and at least a scene we haven't seen in a bit, as they've just recently regained that ability to be able to eat human food. Lynx is awake in the kitchen and brewing a pot of tea, actually. It is the morning after the party and the big fight between Lynx and Maya, and Lynx is kind of, seems a little bit more nervous and less cocksure than she usually is, kind of fidgeting around a little bit, making a pot of tea here, and pouring a cup of the tea, maybe. I guess we'll brew another one. Kind of grabbing a mug of the tea whenever it's done, putting a couple of spoonfuls of honey in there, and a splash of oat milk, just setting the mug on the counter just as Maya is coming down the stairs, looking a little bit more tired and ragged than she usually does. Okay, we'll pretend, I guess, Lynx has put a mug of tea on the counter there, and Lynx kind of on automatic there, remarking as Maya walks over, "Wow, you must have gotten more fucked up than I realized last night if you didn't even have the energy for your signature messy ponytail." Maya not even kind of giving like a half eye roll or a slight head shake like she usually does at this point, just kind of languidly staring at Lynx and walking over to the tea kettle there. As Maya goes, "Yeah, remember why I don't have more than 2 drinks usually?" And the aspirin Birdie left for me hasn't kicked in yet, so Lynx kind of continuing to fidget as Maya makes her way over to the teapot. Lynx saying, "Oh, I already got you a mug of tea." Maya kind of confused and turning back around to the counter to see the mug that Lynx placed there, realizing that it's for her, grabbing it and heading over to the jar of honey on the counter to do up her tea like she usually likes. Lynx again stopping her, saying, "Oh, it's already got 2 spoonfuls of honey and a splash of oat milk," as Maya kind of almost cautiously takes the mug and sort of sniffs it before saying, "How do you know how I take my tea?" Lynx saying, "All the times you've bitched about how the cafes don't get it right must have stuck." Maya's still not really chuckling or even acting a little bit amused, as Lynx has kind of gotten used to her at least somewhat playing along here. And Maya's still just kind of keeping the dead stare in her eyes, clearly not amused by anything, and just a little confused at Lynx's actions this morning, not really interpreting what they're supposed to mean, as she just puts the mug back on the counter and grabs her bag to head on out the door. Actually, before Lynx kind of winces to herself and then makes her way around the counter too, going, "Maya, wait," as Maya kind of reluctantly sighs and stops and turns around, somewhat reminiscent to last night, as she turns back around to Lynx. And Lynx sort of stills herself, taking a huge breath, and looking Maya right in the eyes and saying, "Okay, so, I'm not good at this kind of thing, but clearly you weren't very happy when you left last night. Glad you got home without having to go all teethy." Noticing Maya still just kind of exasperatedly listening to Lynx, seeming like she's itching to get out the door, but Lynx not really knowing 100% what to do with the aura in the air this morning, just kind of trying to continue on, even though this is incredibly uncomfortable for her as well. Lynx saying, or I guess monstrous, "Right, you got home fine, right?" Maya's still kind of neglecting to answer, waiting for Lynx to get to the point of this. Lynx continuing, "Right, I wanted you to know that I did actually want you to have fun last night, so I feel really bad that it ended up not being very fun." Kind of looking down at the ground, almost seeming kind of disappointed in herself too, as Maya just kind of sighs and continues to stare at her. Lynx already starting to kind of like roll her shoulders and seeming even more closed off than she, or more closed off like she usually is, even though she was trying to be a little bit more open this morning before Maya just kind of sighs while fidgeting with her backpack strap and says, thanks, I guess. Is that all? Lynx just kind of awkwardly staring at her, as it seems that Maya's still not very amused with her, but her knowing that she's not going to really be able to muster up much more to say to her right now. Lynx going, yeah, just, well, did you know that nerd? Kind of wincing again at herself as she, on automatic, finished the sentence off with that little term of endearment there. Maya just kind of shaking her head, going, cool, gotta head to the staff meeting, so I'll see you at the lab later, I guess. Lynx stopping her one more time and asking, lab? As Maya sighs and raises an eyebrow at her, going, yeah, Birdie texted us at like 5 a.m. to meet them there to help with something in this afternoon. I don't know. Lynx kind of coming back to her memory, as her mind's been preoccupied with a lot of other stuff this morning, and that wasn't necessarily the main thing that stuck out. But the text coming back to her as well, going, right, yeah, see then. As Maya just kind of gives half smile, clearly without any heart behind it, and heads on out the door for the day. Lynx kind of continuing to wince at herself and just punching the counter a little bit, going, fuck, under her breath. Just definitely disappointed in herself and how that went, tapping her fingers for a second. Kind of clearly chastising herself in her head before she sort of impatiently pulls out her phone. And as Maya is walking on to her job at the attorney's office, just her kind of paperwork data entry job over at the accountant's office, a bit away from campus, still a bit hungover for sure from the party and feeling just kind of down after everything that happened still, and not really sure how to interpret whatever Lynx was trying to do this morning. But as she makes her way a little bit away from the house, Maya's phone pings in her back pocket, and assuming that it's maybe Birdie finally waking up and giving more details or something, she goes ahead and pulls out her phone to look at the notification, and it's actually a little Simstagram notification that Lynx has tagged her in something, and curiosity getting the better of her, even if they still feel, they're still in kind of a weird spot right now. She goes ahead and opens the Simstagram to take a look at whatever Lynx has posted here, and it turns out Lynx has posted a selfie that they took at the party in the midst of everything, as Maya was kind of getting drunk and Birdie was off flirting with the redhead, that just says in the caption, thanks for a killer party, Axel. Glad I could show my new friends, Maya and Birdie, how we do it. And this is still kind of a lot of actions somewhat contradicting in Maya's head as she tries to make sense of everything, but can't help but sort of smile a little bit at Lynx's public use of friends in the caption there. Joining everyone in the lab as Birdie is hard at work, of course, but a couple other familiar faces that usually don't make their way over to this building on campus necessarily are entering, as well as Maya kind of heads in and gives a lackluster wave to Birdie over there. Birdie definitely smiling and waving to Maya, kind of making a similar comment as Birdie kind of gives a wave and gives a sort of similar comment to Lynx, but one that's received a little bit better this time, as Birdie says, hey, little partier, wow, not even a ponytail, you must have gotten really trashed. Maya just kind of chuckling and rolling her eyes at it this time, saying, I didn't get that drunk, but I forgot my body doesn't care and will still make me feel like death in the morning. Thanks for the aspirin, at least, I guess. Birdie kind of twisting up their face at that, going, what do you mean? As Maya continues, the aspirin that you left. But as she kind of is saying that, Birdie does kind of cut her off. You know what? I guess it is a public lab. I just didn't figure that. I'm gonna get better today. Birdie does kind of cut her off, though, waving over to Lynx as Lynx is entering now, and Birdie's saying, cutting Maya off with a, oh, there you are. Okay, let's not waste any time. Not getting back to Maya's comment there as they stop analyzing whatever they're working on the little microscope over there, and heading over to the girls to discuss why they have brought them to the lab today, as Lynx does kind of pose the question, so why are we here on a Sunday afternoon? Birdie continuing on, for a very special reason, the little dumplings. I wanted to get to work on this as soon as possible, and there shouldn't be any chance of people showing up on a weekend like this. Saying, okay, so, I've been spending a lot of time in the lab, but not all of it has been on Diana's research. As you may have noticed, I didn't adjust to the news that we're vampires. The best. Maya kind of smiling at that and going, oh, really? Birdie kind of laughing and going, shush, to her as they continue to explain themselves here, saying to try and better understand, and I wanted to, well, just understand what we are better, understand what's happening on a scientific level, make sure everything, to see if things make more sense from a more biological standpoint, to try and help me come to terms with everything, I've been trying to study my blood and see what is different, but it's not really yielding any helpful results yet. My lab partner and I, the one I mentioned, Lynn, he's been helping make sure that I don't miss anything. Don't worry, he thinks we're like studying blood samples of some patients with a rare disease or something. I guess technically not a super duper lie, but he said it might be more helpful if we had some more samples of other patients, and I told him I might be able to procure that, giving kind of a hopeful smile at the two, hoping they're kind of gathering what they're putting down there, as Lynx says, so you want our blood, as Birdie kind of puts on the little cheeky vampire voice, of course, saying, yes, I want your blood. But seriously, if you two would be willing to give like a little blood sample, I think it could really help with research to figure out what exactly is going on with us. Lynx seeming a little bit apprehensive about the idea and going, I mean, don't we already know what's going on with us? Birdie elaborating again, like, I mean, yes, I know, like, Florence explained the ritual and everything, but I refuse to believe there isn't some kind of molecular change that came with this magic or whatever. And listen, for the low price of a few drops of blood, who knows what cool and helpful things I could figure out with a scientific angle, okay? As Maya continues asking, how much blood are we talking? Can we even give blood? Birdie going, yes, just enough for a few slides, and no, not the traditional way. I've been taking samples of myself, and I realized that the cleanest and not necessarily not painful, but least painful and least brutal way is with a little incision from silver. As Birdie reaches into their bag and brandishes a thin, small, kind of a shiny silver dagger, Maya's eyes kind of widening a little bit. As Lynx takes a look at the blade and goes, oh, is that from Eleanor's Emporium? As Birdie just raises an eyebrow and says, yes. Both of them kind of looking over at Lynx as she rolls her eyes and goes, I mean, come on, are we that surprised that I've bought knives before? Birdie's saying, all right, touche. Listen, the wooden stake ankle is way too jagged and annoying, but of course silver is the only other material that can actually do damage to us, so making a very small incision on your finger is the easiest way to do it for us vamps, okay? So, if you will, please, fingers, ladies. Been a minute since I said that one. As Birdie kind of takes each of their fingers one at a time, as they both, seem a little bit confused about exactly what's going on here, or still a little apprehensive each, but, not denying Birdie a few drops of their blood to continue the studies. Maya just mainly apprehensive that Birdie's getting a little too wrapped up in this, but knowing that it's kind of useless to try and fight against it, Birdie's not going to stop just because Maya doesn't give up some of her blood. So as the two of them are just kind of giving a little bit of a blood sample, as they're giving up a little bit of a blood sample, and Birdie is storing the little slides away, and Maya and Lynx are still just kind of awkwardly sitting next to each other, things still a little bit tense between the two. Another face does enter the lab that none of them are really expecting, giving a little bit of a knock on the door and calling out, oh, you're all in here for once, as Yazmin enters the lab once more, Birdie scowling and turning around right away, hearing her voice. as Birdie looks over at Maya and Lynx, who are giving each other a little bit of a nervous look, not exactly sure why Yazmin's here, but knowing that there's been some tension between her and Birdie lately, and Birdie kind of addressing their roommates, going, well, we're good here. If you two want to head out, I'll see you at home. Lynx and Maya definitely taking the cue, kind of gathering up their stuff and heading out of the lab swiftly, leaving Birdie and Yazmin to whatever their business is. Let's just look at them to go downstairs and get Birdie to talk to Yazmin here. Definitely unamused that Yazmin has shown up again, as Yazmin kind of calls to Birdie as the other two leave. Oh, I wasn't invited. Birdie just kind of scowling at her still, saying, I thought I asked you not to track me down to the lab. I don't know if I want to get them in a full argument here, but I definitely don't want them hugging. Yeah, sure. Let's do an argument. As Yazmin responds, you did, but you've been ignoring my calls and texts, so you left me with no choice but to track you down. Birdie replying to that with, or you could have gotten the message that I needed some space right now. Yazmin retorting yet again, not gonna give up that easily, saying, I guess, but you could have also communicated with me that that's what you wanted. As Birdie looks her dead in the eyes, saying, correct, I could have. I tend to communicate those kind of things to my friends. Yazmin exaggeratedly putting her hand over her heart, going, oh, Bird, you wound me. Are we not friends at this point? I did pledge for your spot in the order last minute after all. As Birdie kind of drops their, bag on the floor and finally just clasps their hands, staring at Yazmin, saying, all right, listen, let's just cut the shit, Yazmin. You know damn well that we aren't friends. Yazmin's face kind of falling out of the somewhat fake niceness that she tends to put on around Birdie, especially as Birdie continues to talk as Yazmin's face falls further. Our entire relationship has been transactional so far, and I don't know if you think you're a good actress, but it's been very evident that you don't want to get to know me. You want to get to know what I know. As Yazmin kind of raises an eyebrow and tries to continue a little bit of the ruse for a little bit longer, just saying, ask what Yazmin's problem is. Sure, that works. As Yazmin says, I merely thought that you were more of a facts person like me and didn't want to faff around talking about boys and makeup or whatever the hell the other two prattle along with their pledges. Birdie immediately jumping on that and saying, don't talk about them like that, and I may like to stick to my facts, but that doesn't mean I'm not human deep down. I need a bit more personal bonding to consider myself close to or friends with a person. Yazmin kind of sharply laughing at that, saying, come on, Birdie, I know you've struggled with this stuff, but you know that deep down you're not really human anymore, right? Birdie definitely not amused with that, and before it turns into any more of an actual fight, before Birdie actually gets into it with this woman, Birdie says, cool, thanks for your help with studying so far, but I think it's probably best if we keep to ourselves moving forward, Yazmin. Yazmin responding, yeah, that's not really how the pledge system works. You still need training, little fledgling, and from what I can tell, you need a lot of it. Birdie immediately responding, if I want it, I won't be going to you, since you have given me zero reason to trust you with a damn thing. Now if you'll excuse me, motioning to the door as Yazmin looks more pissed off than ever, just throwing over her shoulder as she does start to head towards the door. I would watch it if I were you. It's not wise to turn on those close to the top. Birdie raising an eyebrow at her as she walks through the doorway, asking, is that a threat? Yazmin turning and looking over her shoulder once more really quick, just saying, you're smart and independent, right? Figure it out. Just heading on out as Birdie just says, goodbye, Yazmin. Not necessarily threatened by whatever Yazmin was saying or intimidated by this girl. Birdie has a little more conviction than that, but definitely a little bit wary of exactly what she means by that and what she means by those close to the top. Head back to the lair the next morning, a little bit early, as the lair is bustling, of course. excuse me, early but not like, you know, the wee hours of the morning, kind of normal hours as people are here training and doing whatnot, studying if they need to. But down in the, you know, the underbelly, we have Dmitri and Yazmin here as Dmitri is walking with Yazmin to the archives together for once. Excuse me, so sorry. Kind of talking along the way as Yazmin said. No. As Dmitri says, we should almost be ready. There's just one more piece I would like to add to our arsenal before calling it good. As they get closer to the archives here, Yazmin responding, "Yes, sir, you are so smart, wanting to be as prepared as possible. Thank you for taking me on this journey." Her kind of almost buzzing with excitement, really eager to be, you know, getting even closer to the headmaster here and having like a private, like being brought along with him to the archives feels like a really big deal to her, even if she does have keys, which was a big deal in itself. But this feels really special to her as he's kind of revealing even more of his plans to her as they continue to work together. Dmitri saying, "Oh God, why help?" As Dmitri continues on, "Yes, well, taking the first step." Ignore that. Taking the first step with you for this piece should save some precious time, usually spent waiting on time to be able to convene and discuss things. As the two finally do make it to the archives and head on in together. As they continue to kind of lightly talk about what exactly they're here to gather before heading over to the cabinet with the dark tomes over here. And the second Dmitri turns his attention away from Yazmin in the conversation, of course, glancing over at the cabinet for the first time, seeing that all of the shelves are quite bare now, and none of the tomes that he's been pulling from are left there at all. Dmitri immediately becoming irate and Yazmin, not sure how on purpose it is or how much it really was a genuine reaction, flying into his dark form, turning around and snapping at Yazmin, almost growling out, "Where are they?" As Yazmin kind of flinches at the outburst, saying, "What, they're all gone?" As Dmitri just continues to glare daggers at her as Yaz, you can kind of almost see the cogs in Yazmin's head turning as Dmitri's huffing, breathing quite deeply here, seeming to maybe try and calm himself down or almost utilize whatever aggression he's got going on here. As Yazmin looks at the ground for a second, and then almost something clicks in her head as she puts on another award-winning performance talking to Dmitri and just starts to sort of shake her head solemnly, saying, "Oh, damn it, how can I be so stupid?" Dmitri, not necessarily amused at that, wanting to get some answers as soon as possible, snapping, "What?" As Yazmin continues, "God, oh, I know who must have done this. I didn't think they were actually that manic. This must have been Birdie." As Dmitri raises an eyebrow, asking, "Your fledgling?" As Yazmin continues, "Yes, sir, they've been working on Diana's research, like I said, and they've been really interested in the archives and historical texts of this place. I'd been providing them simple spell scrolls to get started, but I could see that they really thirsted for more, especially with how atrocious they've been at most of the vampire skills so far, and with only basic, even with only basic training, so... God, oh, they must have broken into the archives to steal the most powerful knowledge there is." Dmitri continuing on, "It was your idea to bring those idiots in on this." Yazmin trying to placate him a little bit, knowing that this was maybe a bit of a risky plan because it didn't reflect too kindly on her either, but hoping that it'll work out, continuing saying, "Oh yes, I'm very sorry, sir. It was an egregious miscalculation on my part. It won't happen again, I promise." Dmitri saying, "It better not, but for now, we need to get those damn tomes back. Text those and the League of Protectors plan to meet here tonight at 10 p.m. sharp." As Dmitri, without another word, as he usually does, just, here, we'll actually have him go to his office. As Dmitri, goes ahead and cuts conversation there, turning into his bat form and flying away, leaving Yazmin to her own devices down here in the archive. What? Hello? Leaving Yazmin here alone in the archive. Yazmin looking quite pleased with herself, actually. There we go. As Dmitri blinks out of existence here, and we will leave her there to send her little text to those in the League of Protectors plan as Dmitri requested. But up top here, it's our main three getting in a little bit of training before they have to head to class for the day. Let me get them into some actual training over here as Birdie and Lynx are kind of working on their meditation here, and Maya is working on some physical sparring with Blake, since that's kind of the area that she still needs the most improvement in. She's doing pretty well on, I keep passing it, sorry. She's doing pretty well on that mental skill so far. So Lena doesn't feel like, she needs the most guidance on it anymore, already being able to achieve dark meditation and all, but Lena trying to at least help with the other two and their meditation. Oh, we'll pretend those two are continuing to spar over there a little bit. Lena talking to the other two over here. Guiding them through meditation as she has to Maya oftentimes before. Lynx seeming a little bit fidgety still and saying, I don't feel that floaty feeling Maya's always talking about. Lena going, oh, that's fine. It usually takes much longer for vampires to get to that stage. Maya's just progressed quite quickly. Birdie kind of fondly teasing out loud with, always the overachiever. Lena continuing on, I just want to make sure you guys can get to a point where you know how to find your calm and keep yourselves level-headed when your emotions start to boil over, or know how to pull out your bad self if you truly need it. Lynx responding to that with, you mean just hoping the dark side will emerge in a fight isn't good enough? Lena kind of chuckling at her and going, if only. You shouldn't resort to dark form unless it's do or die, but you should be able to concentrate on drawing it out should you need to do that without an emotional outburst. You guys will get there. I believe in you. As Blake is kind of cheering on Maya. Blake cheering on Maya as they sort of finish up their sparring here. Blake exclaiming, hell yeah, I'm impressed, lady! Your extra little training with Lynx seems to be helping. Maya glancing over at Lynx, who's meditating, but kind of opened a single eye at her name being thrown out there. The two kind of meeting eyes for a second, but awkwardly averting eye contact the second they realize that they've noticed each other looking one another's way. As Maya turns her attention back to Blake, saying, really? I still feel like that was really clumsy. As Blake says, yeah, no, I mean, totally. You aren't perfect. No, your reaction times are all over the place because I can still see you thinking about it way too much, but that'll come with time. You can back a punch when you get your head out of it long enough to land one, though. Alright, it's gotten late. Everyone, go home, relax, do your homework for once, as Birdie kind of climbs out of meditation pose as well, saying, hey, that only applies to Lynx. Blake going, I mean, I wasn't going to call Homer out like that, but Lynx just kind of rolling her eyes and laughing at that a little bit as everyone kind of heads to their stuff, kind of gathering it, changing, kind of toweling off for the day. Idle chit-chatter, of course, as Birdie heads over near the door where their bag is thrown into the corner there where they put it when they came in to do some training today. And just as they are kind of reaching into their bag and gathering their stuff to head home, they look up and do notice Yazmin coming on up the stairs out of the archives, and the two of those also kind of make eye contact for just a moment. Yazmin's eyes sort of narrowing as she smirks at Birdie, sort of looking them up and down, giving them the once-over before chuckling a little bit and continuing her jaunty trot out of the lair. Birdie squinting a little bit, confused and kind of annoyed, but not necessarily feeling great about whatever put that expression, that smugness on Yazmin's face. The woods for a little check-in with the ferals, or rather a couple of ferals. Aster and Clementine are doing a little check-in here. Aster talking to Clementine, saying, is my little actress keeping her cool? Clementine kind of rolling her eyes at the patronizing tone and saying, yes, of course, I'm not that inept. Aster continuing on, oh, you're far from inept. I mean, you do, that doesn't mean you don't have a temper, though. Don't worry, I like your temper, but the League doesn't, and if you want to pretend to be in their good graces still, you need to make sure you keep it under wraps. As Clementine says, "Thank you, I'm not a kindergartner. Don't worry, it's going well. No one suspects I'm not on their side anymore, and I've simply been avoiding the headmaster since his little tantrum." Aster going, "Good. Now, what do you know about Birdie?" As Clementine kind of raises an eyebrow and just says, "Birdie, the little blonde fledgling? Not much. Why?" Aster just saying, "Answer the question." Clementine sighing with, "I don't know, they're not around a ton, at least not as much as the other two fledglings that got brought in at the same time. They seem like a know-it-all, and Florence is already obsessed with all three of those little baby vamps, and that's about it. There is a first meeting of those Michi's trying to start the League of Protectors again with tonight, though." As Aster says, "What about?" And Clementine rolling her eyes again, going, "Ugh, who knows? We all just got a demanding and cryptic text from Yazmin to be there at 10. Aster smiling a little bit deviously and saying, "Alright, report back and give me all the details. That's it for now." Clementine just giving a little salute with a, "Sounds good." Aster saying, "Sounds good, what?" Clementine stopping in her tracks about to leave and going, "I told you, Aster, I refuse to call you mother." Aster kind of chuckling a little bit under her breath at that and going, "Very well. Happy to have you a part of the family regardless," as Clementine just shakes her head and heads on off to the meeting that is going to be starting in a little bit as the sun is starting to set. As we are headed back into the lair here, it is almost 10 p.m. and the little meeting of the people in the League of Protectors is about to start. Everyone's kind of confused as to why they're here. No one really knows why this meeting has been called, and Clementine is wandering in almost late, but cutting it pretty close at the very least. As she kind of sheepishly gets in line here next to Isaiah here, who seems like, whose eyes kind of widen at seeing her, going, "Oh my god, babe, I feel like I haven't seen you in forever." Clementine going, "Yeah, I've had a lot on my plate lately," as Dmitri walks into the room to address the line of League members here, and cutting off those two, saying, "You lovebirds can catch up on time that is not mine now. We have a serious matter to attend to tonight." Addressing them all quite sternly right off the bat, as everyone kind of snaps to attention, various stages of confusion and kind of worry brushing across most of their faces as Dmitri continues on. "There's been a heinous violation of the sanctity of this lair, one that I take as a direct attack against us, a horrifying breach of trust from within our own walls." Everyone kind of looking around uneasily as Clementine seems to seem a little bit more nervous now, standing kind of stone still, staring at the floor, a little bit anxious as to where Dmitri is going with this exactly. Dmitri continuing on, "As you know, this building houses some of the most powerful and most dangerous magical texts known to man. The most impactful being the dark tomes, which are kept warded away from any other texts. Every single one of our dark tomes has gone missing." As Clementine's eyes kind of snap up at that, realizing it's not really about her and whatever she's been doing, as everyone kind of looks around, startled and shocked at this bomb that Dmitri has kind of dropped on them here, as he continues on, "I have taken stock of the circumstances and motives, and it has been made apparent that we recently let a traitor into our mix, a mistake that must be rectified. One Birdie Nelson has robbed us of something sacred, and who knows what misdeeds this child will commit now that they have the most powerful magic known to man at their fingertips." Lena and Blake definitely kind of seeming taken aback at that, looking at each other, a little bit confused, as Lena so boldly addresses Dmitri here, going, "Wait, Birdie, are you sure?" Blake also jumping in, going, "I thought we were supposed to be bringing the fledglings into the know." Yazmin snapping at them this time and saying, "Plans have changed. Sorry, sir." Apologizing for kind of interrupting or answering, whereas maybe his place, Dmitri kind of letting it go this time, nodding at Yazmin as he understands her frustration here and almost appreciates that she seems to be one of the more upset ones about the situation than everyone just kind of seeming a little bit shocked, confused, and scared. Dmitri continuing, on addressing Lena for a moment, saying, "Don't question my decisions, young one. I wouldn't be telling you this if I wasn't sure. Now, since no time must be wasted, I called this meeting immediately, as the culprit must be apprehended. Who knows where they have fled with our precious texts? You are all to head out and find Birdie Nelson, find the texts, and deliver both of them intact to my doorstep as soon as you can." Joseph and Adam, he says, addressing the two kind of younger recruits that Isaiah has brought into the know here, telling them, "This is your next test. Prove me right in letting you help." And we're off to a good start. Caesar, kind of addressing Caesar, who's been kind of looped in with the main group here instead of in the know on the plans like you usually would in these meetings. Already a little bit unsteady just because of that, as Dmitri kind of addresses him directly, saying, "Caesar, you stay behind with me. Everyone else go, and don't let me down." As the rest of them continue to fled on out of the training room here with varying emotions kind of crossing most of their faces, as Caesar apprehensively sort of stays behind with Dmitri, a little bit unsure, and would be lying if he said wasn't kind of a little bit scared as to the reason why the headmaster has specifically asked him to sort of stay behind. Most of them heading out here, Yazmin looking pretty smug at what has happened. Lena and Blake kind of giving each other worried looks as they walk and head closer to the door. Adam looking kind of hyped up at a chance to prove himself again, with his friend Joseph seeming a little bit more apprehensive, but going along with it, as Isaiah pulls the two of them aside to sort of establish a game plan with them. And Clementine seeming relieved but a little bit dumbfounded as she very quickly scatters off on out of the building here. But just as they're all kind of fleeing, it's growing pretty late in the night, a bit past 10 p.m. at this point, as Florence has been here working late just as her normal job as a guidance counselor. And is leaving for the night and seeing kind of this sort of large group of wandering students leaving the, coming from the direction of the lair, of course, making her even more suspicious than usual. Her and Lena kind of making eye contact for a moment as Lena looks kind of worried, and Florence is definitely concerned, her and Lena being a little bit closer than some of the other members of the league here. Blake sort of pulling Lena aside for a moment, grabbing her arm and saying really lowly in her ear, "Go talk to her. I'll go tell her pledges." As Lena's shoulders kind of relax a bit, as it seems that a bit of confirmation that Blake is on the same page as her, that they can't really just go along with these orders. Blake rushing out in the direction of our main three's home, of course. Everyone else kind of heading out to start this manhunt, as Lena heads over swiftly to Florence once she's seen that the rest of them have kind of exited the building and won't see that she's going to talk to her. Florence backing up a little bit and calling her into her office briefly just to make sure that they have some privacy here, as Lena nervously enters with her head down. Florence addressing her as soon as the door closes behind the young student. Florence saying, "Why were you all here so late?" As Lena's kind of shifting back and forth, with her arms a little crossed, a lot more apprehensive and closed off than Lena usually is. She's usually pretty bright and open about things. Florence definitely even more concerned seeing the different demeanor on the girl's body, as Lena is kind of berating herself a little bit as she's shaking her head at the floor, going, I should have done something sooner. I guess I didn't think. Florence going, "Lena, what's happening?" Lena is still just kind of rambling on with, I'm sorry, I should have listened to my heart above all else, and now this is going too far. And Florence just kind of grabbing her shoulders and stopping her for a minute, having her look in Florence's eyes. She, as soon as Lena looks up at Florence seeing the kind of terror in Lena's eyes, asking just point blank, "Lena, what is the headmaster planning?" So we're joining our main three at their houses. They're having a pretty lovely night, just kind of hanging out, watching some TV together, as it fades into quite late night, almost midnight, and there's suddenly quite a loud, incessant rapping on the door, and the three of them kind of look at each other as Maya's the first one to go ahead and get up and go actually answer the door here, and the second that she opens the door, the other two hear her go, Blake? As Blake kind of pushes past her quickly, going, where are they? Storming in and seeing Birdie, walking right over to Birdie, as Maya kind of worriedly ventures over there, as well as Blake seems quite insistent as he stomps on over to Birdie and says, did you break into the archives and steal the dark tomes? Birdie looking at their roommates and standing up saying, what are the dark tomes? As Blake goes, yeah, that's what I thought. Listen, the headmaster is off of his rocker. As Lynx also kind of stands and joins the conversation, now getting a little bit worried, as the other two are as well, saying, what are you talking about? Like, continuing on a bit frantically. There's been a lot that's up. I'm sorry, I don't have time to get into it right now, but Birdie, he thinks that you robbed the archives of some very ancient and very powerful texts, and he sent a handful of us to go find you and deposit you onto his doorstep. And Lord, I don't for a second trust whatever will happen once you are. Birdie's eyes kind of widening at that as they go, what? Why would I? Continuing on, knowing time is of the essence, here saying, I have no idea, but what I know that you need to get somewhere safe now. As Lynx thinks back to a few days ago in the training room when the headmaster kind of burst in and mentioned something to Maya about, Lena mentioning some kind of opportunity to her or not, and Lena and Blake seeming a little bit cagey about that. Lynx addressing Blake with does this have to do with whatever he said to Lena about giving us an opportunity or something? Blake kind of reluctantly saying, going, yes, I'm sorry I didn't talk to you sooner. Lena and I both wanted to keep you guys out of this, but it seems that didn't work. As Maya kind of has been thinking and listening a little bit scared, saying, Florence was right, like a little bit under her breath, as Lynx looks over at her, kind of questioning with a symbol. As Maya just sort of shakes it off, though, and looks at Birdie, thinking and trying to jump into action immediately, just saying, the attic? As Birdie kind of shakes their head, jumping into factual, let's solve this brain as well, in order to not freak out themselves, going, no, that still seems risky, especially if anyone is going to the house. Blake jumping in and going, I told them I'd check the house first, but eventually those who are actually doing Solomon's bidding are bound to go double check here. Birdie kind of stealing themselves and looking at the ground, clenching their fists a couple times before saying, I know where I can go. Somewhere they won't look. Thank you, Blake. As Blake goes, yeah, of course. I care about y'all a hell of a lot more than the tyrannical maniac that should have gone into his coffin again for for good, a long time ago. I should head out before it's been too long, but stay safe, and I promise to fill you guys in on everything next time we meet. As Blake sort of frantically vampire runs outside the house once more, off to not look too suspicious to his group here, and Maya, Lynx and Birdie all a little bit confused, frantic, and worried, of course, as Maya looks over to Birdie and says, so what's your plan? As Birdie knows that their roommates are not going to like the answer necessarily, but knowing that it's the best thing they got right now, staring at them for a moment before saying, I'm going to go hide out with the ferals. Maya immediately immediately snapping and saying, you're what? As Birdie cuts her off, going, I know, but the League doesn't know that I'm friendly with them, and they hate the League plenty, so if I tell them that it'll go directly against the League's wishes, the ferals are bound to help. Lynx saying, Birdie, I know they're a little more chill than we thought they would be, but they're still dangerous too, right? Birdie going, yeah, but they're not currently on a manhunt for me, and it's the best thing I've got if I need to go somewhere immediately. Like, I will text you that I'm safely tucked away at their camp. Okay? As soon as I get there. 30 minutes tops. As Maya definitely looks a little bit uneasy at this plan, just really worried about their friend's safety, as Maya it kind of seems on the verge of tears, almost, but nodding along. kind of understanding that it maybe is the best course of action that they have for now, as Birdie goes in, gives Maya a little kiss on the head, giving Lynx a hug as well. You can't do head kisses in The Sims, which is sad. I think friends should be able to kiss each other on the head or cheek, but I think I can at least get them to hug Lynx here. I can at least get that one, yeah. Kissing Maya on the top of the head and giving Lynx a little hug here as they say, you two stay safe, and I guess we'll figure things out once I'm at the camp, okay? As Birdie kind of takes off as well. I don't know who that is showing up to the house, ignore them. Lynx looking a little bit dumbfounded as Birdie leaves the house quickly, heading towards the perimeter. Maya kind of sitting down on the couch, trying not to have a panic attack as she sort of comprehends everything that just got flipped upside down in the past few minutes. As we'll catch back up with catch back up with Birdie really quick as they're heading on away from the house here, quickly heading towards the perimeter as fast as they can, trying to be as secretive as possible to maybe escape any lingering League members' eyes if people are out searching for them, of course. And as they get closer to the perimeter, even by this side of their house, as they were figuring they were going to have to go all the way to the other side of campus to where the feral camp is located, but they actually run into Aster right over on this side of town. Birdie kind of surprised, but relieved to see her so swiftly, actually, as Aster kind of approaches saying, well, hello, Birdie. Birdie going, oh my god, I don't know what you're doing on this side of town, but this is perfect. Aster not necessarily expecting that response as she goes, oh. Birdie saying, listen, I don't want to impose, but this is kind of an emergency. Could you help hide me out at your camp for just a little while? Aster going ahead and realizing that things are kind of falling right into her lap as she gives a little bit of a devious, unsettling smile at Birdie, saying, oh, what a coincidence. I was just headed over to invite you to the camp for tonight as well. As Birdie sort of raises an eyebrow at that, but before Birdie can actually do anything to respond, walking up behind them swiftly and silently, Clementine walks up behind Birdie, and smacks Birdie over the top of the head and knocks Birdie out as Aster smiles, content with that, as both of them grab Birdie and drag them away to their camp in a little bit less friendly terms than Birdie was expecting. Check back in with the lair as Dmitri did ask 𝕊𝖆 to stay behind, and afterwards Dmitri did take 𝕊𝖆 down into the interrogation room where Hero has been tied up for quite a while now, being interrogated and kind of beaten senseless, and that pattern is continuing as 𝕊𝖆 has been brought in just kind of standing watch as he has been often just kind of flinching and looking away as Dmitri continues to inflict just really atrocious things to this vampire that 𝕊𝖆's never really seen a vampire do to other people before, or even other vampires, but not really questioning Dmitri as he is like a headmaster and level of vampire way higher than 𝕊𝖆 could ever imagine of reaching, but it's still a little bit sickening to him to watch the kind of just absolute brutal interrogation continue on as Hero just is still not really giving up any information that Dmitri wants, though. Dmitri going full dark form at this point, just trying to throw everything that he can at the feral here as he, let's have him get into a little bit of an angrier headspace. Dmitri growling as Hero is a little bit hard to understand at this point with so much blood in his mouth, his bones being beaten and battered on it over and over again as Dmitri spits out, you younglings have really been testing my patience lately, and today I'm particularly not in the mood to be argued with. Hero kind of seeming to almost fade in and out of consciousness, spitting out a little blood at the man, just saying, fuck you. Dmitri going, yeah, that's what I figured you'd say. I have to say I do somewhat admire your unwavering loyalty to your leader. It's a quality sorely missed in these halls, but fortunately, your loyalty to someone else doesn't bode well for me. We've been at this for weeks, and you have given up not a single word about exactly where your camp is, why your killing has increased, or exactly who this glorious mother of yours is. I have thrown everything I have at you, and yet you refuse to budge, so you simply become a waste of time. And as I said, my patience is at an all-time low today. As Dmitri stops yelling at the young man who has been kind of pulled out of the chair at this point, incredibly angrily stomps over to the table of, some various tools, spellbooks, potions, and things, and picks up incredibly sharp, thin, silver dagger off of the table. Caesar's eyes kind of widening at the action as, he's seen Dmitri use it plenty of times to inflict small scrapes and wounds to try and coax information out of this feral here. But this time, Dmitri stalks over to Caesar as Caesar's eyes continue to widen, with Dmitri only getting closer and closer to him, holding out the hilt of the weapon to Caesar instead, saying, "Take it." Caesar simply gulping and asking, "What?" Dmitri insisting yet again, "Take the blade." Caesar kind of shakily doing as Dmitri asks, with Dmitri pushing him to the center of the room in front of the feral here. Dmitri taking up Caesar's spot this time, kind of watching from the back as they switch positions here, but Dmitri's face much less disgusted and horrified than Caesar's usually is back here. Saying to Caesar, who's just kind of nervously staring at Hero and fidgeting with the blade, "You've stood cowering in the corner long enough. Show me you actually care about being my right-hand man still, because I'm quite sure you could easily be replaced. Finish it." Caesar, not wanting to misinterpret Dimitri's words on something this serious, but not quite believing exactly what he heard, turning around to the man for a moment, going, "Sir, we don't kill people in the League." Dmitri glowering at both of them and going, "That's not a person, that's a feral." Caesar trying to protest again, as this is way out of his comfort zone at this point. But sir, Dmitri not wanting to hear it anymore, as he spits out at him, "A right-hand man doesn't ask, they act." Caesar starting to kind of breathe heavily here, not exactly sure what he should be doing, as this is not something that he's comfortable with, but he's never really been one to betray Dmitri before, and he knows that just even seeing the kind of anger and vitriol that Dmitri has been displaying towards this hostage here, he definitely doesn't want to have that turned onto him, as Dmitri continues to kind of berate him, as he just continues to stand there staring at this feral close to the edge of death already, honestly. Dmitri continuing on, "I can quite easily throw you back on your ass like the useless mess of limbs that came into the society in the first place. Now prove to me that all my training and praise has meant something to you, that you know your place in this league means something, and stick that blade into his chest. If you know what is good for you, Caesar, be a man and do it." That is the wrong sin that I had to walk. As Dmitri just continues to kind of step closer and closer, glowering over until Caesar can almost feel the angry breath on the back of his neck from Dmitri, and not sure if it's the right choice or not. Not necessarily feeling good about it, but not sure what would happen to him if he doesn't go ahead and do it. Caesar frantically just kind of takes a huge breath and closes his eyes, raises the dagger, and without overthinking it for a second longer, goes ahead and does Dimitri's bidding. Oh god. Stabbing Hero in the chest. As Dmitri stands looking... Oh, no. As Dmitri stands looking, not like that, but quite impressed and happy with Caesar for doing his bidding. Sam's not going to react, but Caesar seeming quite upset with what he's done himself, not really knowing, again, if it's the right decision or not, as Dmitri looks quite pleased at him, though Dmitri taking another step closer and almost in like a fatherly kind of proudness, patting Caesar on the shoulder and saying, "That's right. good to know you won't have to end up like your sister. Caesar kind of snapping back at that, though, and going, what? As Dmitri does not answer, simply saying, clean this up and make it look like the room hasn't been touched in years again. Then celebrate. You did good for once. Dmitri, of course, as usual, turning into bat form and flitting off to his office, as usual. Caesar just standing there knowing that he's going to have to continue following his bidding, but quite unsure with what he has done today. Dmitri kind of forming back out of, going back out of dark form here. And calmly taking a seat at his desk, happy to see that his right-hand man has shown this test of loyalty, but not able to have another moment of kind of, oh, hello. Oh, shh. It's fine. Sorry, I don't have time to turn off reactions in police. I forgot. Shh, it's fine. As, Dimitri's door does burst open immediately, though, the second that he takes a seat down at his desk, as it is, pretend it's dark outside, as it is quite late at night still, on the same night that they had their, little meeting, League of Protectors, still. And his door bursts open with a very angry Florence, not waiting for permission to come inside this time. Here, let's actually make her angry so she looks a little bit more upset. Florence bursting in as Dmitri immediately rolls his eyes going, I really don't have time for your diatribe tonight, Florence, as she slams her hands down onto his desk and says, you're reinstating the League of Protectors? Dimitri's gaze narrowing at that and going, how do you know that? Florence saying, it doesn't matter how I know that. Are you out of your mind, Dmitri? Using his first name, which he doesn't often do, but I feel like it's warranted in this situation. Here, we'll have to mark you. As Dmitri responds, you should know by now questions don't amuse me, especially from you. Florence continuing on, the League of Protectors was specifically disbanded because the last huge battle they found themselves in wiped out half the population of the university. It took decades for the remaining League members to cover it up and vow an oath of peace and pacifism to make this League true to its name again and only protect those that fell victim to this terrible cause. What the hell makes you think bringing back that carnage of bureaucracy is a good idea? Dmitri arguing right back with his booming voice, saying, I don't have to explain myself to you. I don't see you doing anything to help the recent disappearances around campus. And Florence continuing on, though, not even wanting to entertain his defense for a moment, though, responding, in the dark tomes, Dmitri, that's infernal magic that is warded away for a reason. Dmitri continuing to glare as Florence still calls him out on stuff that he wasn't quite prepared for her to know. Florence saying, don't give me that look. I know every text on our powers and the history of the Protectors like the back of my hand. Not a single time have I ever read anything incorporating that cute little silencing trick you pulled on Clementine at the last all-hands meeting. We keep the dark tomes locked away for a reason, Dmitri. That power cannot be unleashed, even if you think that you're keeping it under wraps. Dmitri just kind of trying to brush her off and get back to, whatever paperwork he needs to finish off. Just saying, none of us would be here without the infernal magic. Shuffling papers on his desk, effectively ignoring her, but Florence not having any of it, of course. Continuing on. Exactly! None of us would be in this position if incredibly dark, powerful, insidious, infernal magic wasn't attempted to be harnessed for good and turned into that damn sigil in the middle of school. Dmitri slamming his book shut and responding, if you don't like the decisions that I'm making to run my school, then you don't have to be a part of them. But there is nothing you can do to stop them. Florence absolutely fed up with it, everything going on at this point, all the secrecy, all the lies, and all of the dangerous activity that Florence is not on board with going on as she pulls out her set of keys, both to the League and to her office just in the normal administration building as well, and slamming them down on Dimitri's desk, saying, you're right, if this is the path you're taking this organization down, I don't want to be a part of it. I'm not going to sit by and let you destroy all these children's lives. And as far as stopping you goes, we'll see. as Florence starts to turn around and walk away, with Dmitri raising out of his chair and sighing as he brings out his dark form for the second time that night. Florence not even needing to turn around to know what Dmitri is doing, hearing the whooshing of cold air pass by as he pulls out his dark form, of course. Dmitri saying, "After all that you know and all that we've been through, you don't think you can just walk out like that, right?" As Florence goes ahead and slowly turns around, seeing, as she already knew, confirming, though, that Dmitri has slipped into dark form. Florence just absolutely glowering at him and steeling herself for a moment, taking a deep breath, and going ahead and shifting into her own dark form as well, actually. Looking him dead in the eyes and saying, "I wouldn't imagine it," as the two of them, almost at the same time, as the two lunge at each other and begin, not quite a spar, but quite a heated brawl with one another, neither intending to hold back. Let's pretend it's a little later in the night. I just didn't want to waste too much time waiting for it to get dark in game. But this should still be the middle of the night, with so many scenes taking place on the same night this episode. We were bound to hit some patches of later daylight in the game, but let's pretend it is late, dark at night, as Maya and Lynx are out on the other side of campus, near the perimeter, near the more wooded areas that they usually try and avoid. Let me make Maya look a little bit more worried, actually. And love this new scared emotion we got going on in Sims. Thanks, EA. The only time I'll say that. As Maya and Lynx are out wandering, Lynx isn't necessarily not worried and scared, just, a little bit more at ease than Maya is here, as these two are out. Stop getting texts. On this side of campus, Lynx kind of cautiously looking around as Maya is just sort of trekking through the paths in the middle of the night here. Lynx being like, "Maya, this is dangerous," as Maya's like, "No, they said they text. It's been over an hour and they never texted. There's something wrong. I know it." Lynx going, "I don't disagree," but Maya turning around to her and going, "But nothing. Birdie has saved my ass way too many times for me to not return the favor." As the two continue to walk, and actually over at the main camp area, Birdie is actually just coming to and realizing that they are tied to a tree in the middle of the forest, waking up now with Aster's deviously smiling face right in front of theirs, as let's get Aster to stop using this umbrella. Come over here. Let's pretend Birdie's tied to the tree. Got them as close to the tree as I could. Birdie kind of looking around, muttering, as Aster smiles at them and addresses them, saying, "Good morning, sleepyhead." Birdie immediately kind of nervously chuckling and quipping, "So do we have a safe word?" Or Aster going, "Cute, always with the jokes." As Birdie looks over and sees Clementine sharpening a blade over by the fire here. Oh, you bitch. Frames. Seems so good. Okay. As Birdie kind of squints and goes, "Wait, Clementine?" Aster brushing it off, though. Clementine not responding herself either. Aster saying, "Don't worry about her. I mean, you won't have to worry about much soon." Birdie finally kind of cutting out the antics and getting a bit more serious, saying, "What's happening?" Aster going, "Oh, poor sweet Birdie. Even though you seem reluctant to get wrapped up in all this, it seems fate has other plans. Let me catch you up. I'll pretend that they are tied to the tree." See, there's a lot more of a mystical and prophetic angle to this stuff. Something those fuddy-duddy fact checkers over at the League, I'm sure, never mentioned. But when you drink blood like the fates intended us to do, you have immeasurable power, but it was always said that one day it might wane. As much as I hate to admit it, that day is upon us. But see, dear Clementine gave me the key to figure out the full tale, as Aster kind of paces around, actually, as she continues to monologue around Birdie, who continues to get more and more worried as Aster's monologuing continues on. I'm just gonna get Birdie a little closer to the tree again here, as Aster continues. Gave me the key to figure out the full tale, the one that ends with us regaining our strength, all due to one special chosen person. The idiots that roamed this place did a terrible job of vetting sacrifices, but the more I looked into it, the more I realized. It says child, Birdie. Not lad or lass, but child. Someone newly born into this life. And when I met you, it clicked. The prophecy lacking a specific gender wasn't to be ambiguous or cryptic. It was talking about exactly who I needed. And then when you showed up with those beautiful cheek scars, Aster kind of coming close and like running a hand over Birdie's cheek as they try and lean away as much as they're able to in the confines against the tree here. Despite never having been in battle, I knew. The scarred child shall bring the end of leadership and the end of wealth. Listen, I've got my imbeciles armed and surrounding us in case your little friends come to save you. It's a shame because I did like you, but I like my power more. And at the end of the day, Mother always provides for her children. So if ending your life revitalizes all of ours, I think that's quite a fair trade, isn't it? As Aster's kind of getting close to Birdie again, monologuing and starting to hold their face in her hands, but suddenly Aster kind of reels back and looks quite upset as it seems like there's been like a sudden blow to Aster, even though, you know, Birdie wasn't able to reach out and touch her at all. Aster's whipping her head around and staring at Clementine, who raises an eyebrow at Aster. Aster stalking over to Clementine, and she says, "What is happening?" Clementine replying, "What are you talking about?" As Aster continues, "Why? Was my mental link just severed with Hero? That only happens when life is fully ceased. What are they doing to him?" As Clementine continues, I don't know." Aster almost cutting her off with, "You are not my double agent to not know." Clementine trying to like spit back and save face a little with, "I thought you hated him anyways." Aster saying, "He displeased me, but no one kills one of my children except for me." Clementine starting to kind of get off of the stump and put the blade down herself, saying, I guess I could go check." Aster going, "Not now. Fuck. I need you here for the ritual." As we pretend those are other ferals joining the campfire, as we join our other ladies over here, still searching for maybe like knowing that the ferals are somewhere along the perimeter, but not knowing exactly where, as they are continuing to kind of as stealthily as possible walk along, suddenly hearing male voice kind of call out though and going, "Hey, who's out there?" As Maya immediately jumps a bit scared, but sorry, hiccups. Lynx jumps into action a little bit faster, seeing one of the feral guards kind of stalking around with a blade in hand along the perimeter, as Lynx pulls her and Maya over behind a pretty wide tree, a bit away from the guards. As quickly as she's able to. Oh, this tree's gonna keep fading away. Let's just pretend it's there, though. As Maya looks absolutely petrified. Lynx trying to look around the tree as much as she can to, you know, double check that the guards are still a little ways away there, not encroaching on them yet, and hasn't really found them, trying to keep her voice low and going, "Well, I guess we were right that things aren't just chill. You wanted to go on a rescue mission. What are you doing?" As Lynx looks over and Maya's got her fist clenched really tight, closing her eyes, just kind of muttering under her breath over and over and over, as A lot of words that Lynx can't really quite make out, though, as Maya just eventually starts going, shit, 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 shit. Lynx looking really confused as Maya kind of looks over at her and tries to briefly, quietly explain, Florence set up a telepathic communication channel between us in case we found ourselves in trouble. We're trying to connect, but it's really hard, and I'm not getting anything back. As they can kind of hear the guards' voices getting a little bit closer now. Lynx looking around the tree again, almost silently cursing under her own breath as well, saying, I don't think we have time for that. I think we're going to have to help ourselves. Hit me. As Maya snaps her head at Lynx at that, going, what? Lynx going, slap me. I don't have good control over my dark form as you. Just hit me. As Maya kind of lightly slaps Lynx across the cheek, definitely holding back, but Lynx looking over at her and going, oh my god, come on, slap me, I know you've wanted to for a while. Maya taking a deep breath and trying to steel herself, knowing that this is for a good cause, and hey, Lynx is asking her to. Maya absolutely rearing back and just absolutely walloping Lynx across the cheek. I don't know why the camera keeps moving away every time I do actions from Extreme Violence. Even Lynx kind of surprised at exactly how much... Cards aren't over here yet. How much it stings and how much of a punch Maya really can pack behind it when she puts her mind to it. And with a bit of a welted face. Oh my god. This place. It does the trick, and Lynx goes ahead and slips into her dark form as she's kind of transforming, saying, all right, I'll do it. You can join me? Looking over at Maya, who definitely has much more mental calmness and control of her dark form at this point. Maya kind of nervously nodding as she herself concentrates for a minute and much more calmly starts to slip into her dark form and bring out that more vampiric side of herself. I'll let both of them transform really quick. Maya's still looking pretty scared, though, as Lynx is almost hyping herself up as both of them come out from behind the tree, as both of the guards are getting really close to finding them anyways. Heading out, both of the guards noticing them and running at them right away. As, nope. No phone calls, please. As the guards get wrapped up in battle with both of them. Maya definitely less dexterous at this than this vampire guard that has come and attacked her anyways. But him being the one unarmed, as it seems, it's at least a little bit easier for Maya to handle. Her very thankful that Lynx has brought out those fangs and lunged at the other guard that was brandishing the knife, as both of them are sparring with their respective guards at the same time. Lynx kind of pulling out, all of her physical prowess and really doing a number on this guard who is actually a lot less good at fighting than Lynx is. As let's pretend that Lynx kind of won that there, with this guard just absolutely passing out. Maya's still kind of tied up with this vampire that is fighting with her over here, as he is maybe a little less unarmed than they thought. Him finally pulling out a silver blade, really similar to the blade of the one that Lynx was fighting. And as Lynx kind of knocks out the guard that she was dealing with, she looks over and sees the guard that Maya is dealing with flip out this blade and give a aggressive look at Maya and start to charge at her, as Maya gets a little bit too scared and just absolutely freezes. Lynx, knowing that that's not going to go well, her harnessing as much vampire speed as she can, going ahead and rushing over right as the guard is sliding the knife right at Maya, as Lynx pushes Maya out of the way, knocking her to the ground, but the blade sliding right into Lynx's abdomen instead. Lynx kind of crying out in pain as Maya also screams, noticing what happened. Maya getting up off the ground and kind of mustering a bunch of strength that she didn't know she had, and knocking out the vampire that has just stabbed her roommate and friend, as Lynx has kind of collapsed to the ground. This guard also passing out on the ground next to the other guard over where Lynx knocks someone out. Maya running right on over to Lynx, kind of holding Lynx's body as Maya's started to kind of cry. Lynx coughing up a little bit more blood. Maya realizing that it's a pretty deep wound on Lynx's abdomen at this point, blood kind of rushing out. Maya never really seeing anyone bleed that much, and knowing that vampires are pretty tough, but as they have all been told, it is really silver is quite detrimental to them if they should make contact with it. As Maya is kind of trying to put her hands over the wound and get it to stop bleeding as much as possible, Maya just kind of running a string of curses under her breath, like, oh fuck, are you all right? Lynx almost laughing, like, silver does sting, doesn't it? Maya going, fuck, why did you do that? Fuck. Lynx just looking up at her and saying, Blake was right. Your reaction times are still really bad, klutz. Maya crying more as Lynx actually does lose consciousness and faints in her arms. Someone walking up behind Maya and knocking her out on top of Lynx's body, as well as it seems over at the campfire with Birdie still tied up over here, some of the other vampires surrounding them, Aster standing right in front of Birdie, as everyone is kind of surrounded the tree, and Birdie looks pretty distraught at this point. Aster reciting the prophecy again, and as we saw a few episodes ago, but this time right in front of Birdie, brandishing that blade that Clementine was sharpening near the fire, finishing up the last line of that prophecy. Once summer ends, the accused shall bring an era of health and rise of hope, as Aster raises the blade high in the air and brings it down to plunge it right into Birdie's heart. And as we see Aster bringing the blade down onto Birdie, that's where we will fade to black for the episode. And that's where we're going to end Season 1. There you have it. There we have Sharpest Tool Season 1. Thank you so much for joining me. We got quite a lot happening. Some big cliffhangers left there, of course. And it's going to be a while before we get to any resolutions on that. But I want to leave you guys with lots of drama heading into Season 2. I will confirm there will be a Season 2. It probably won't be until next year. Just like Traitorous will, do about a year in between, as these are the scripted ones are a lot of work for me to put together. And they're really taxing on me. But I had a lot of fun, and I have pretty much all of Season 2 already planned out in my head, so I'm very excited to show you guys eventually. You know me planning like way ahead on this. But there you go. There's your dramatic cliffhanger for Season 1. Feel free to discuss in the Discord if you have any ideas of what you want to see happen. Thank you for joining me for Sharpest Tool all season. I hope you enjoyed Season 1. I have lots in store for you in the future. Sorry to leave you on such a dramatic cliffhanger, but I really wanted that, that emotional punch at the end there. And at this point on the stream, I switched over to our trailer watch party screen, so that way we could watch the trailer for the next Friday series, which was Bachelor Season 2, The Bachelor Fairy Tale Romance Season. I'll put a card for that right here if you want to go watch the trailer for Bachelor Season 2 that we watched on stream next. But because we kind of transitioned over to that, I don't really have a goodbye speech in the stream VOD here that relates to Sharpest Tool anyways, so this is editing GG jumping in right at the end to make sure that I say one last huge thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed looking back at this series, or if it was your first time, if you missed it live on the streams, I hope you enjoyed watching through. This is definitely a unique thing on my channel. The scripted series are really something different compared to a lot of the other stuff I do, or Let Us Sims 4 content that I see, especially on live streams, as far as I know. But even from Traitors or other scripted series, this is definitely something really different, not out of the box, and a little out of my comfort zone. So I think in editing this, I could tell that I was really nervous in a lot of episodes, and there was a lot more tech difficulties than I was remembering from these. But besides the tech difficulties, the Sims or stream not working super great, I tried to cut out most of the issues in these archived episodes here, and me saying like way too much. I've gotten better at that on streams lately. These are a little bit old at this point. And, just being a little bit clunky since I was for sure nervous to go through this story because it's slightly out of my wheelhouse. I don't do supernatural things that much. However, I'm super proud of how it has come out so far. I'm really into the story, and I hope that you guys are too. I love these characters so much and have so much in store for them. We're going to continue following them no matter how popular it is, so there's still going to be more, and I did not know exactly when it was going to be back when I was recording this stream. However, I am happy to say, if you have not heard, that yes, season 2 of Sharpest Tool is returning very soon. That is why these are going up on the YouTube channel right now. I will put a card here as well if you want to go watch the season 2 trailer, and then if you want to see the premiere of season 2, see what has happened right after all of the dramatic events we just ended off on in this episode, then I hope to see you at twitch.tv/Rosina18 on Friday, January the 7th, 2022 at 9 p.m. Again, that is Friday, January 7th at 9 p.m. That is when we are going to be starting our premiere of Sharpest Tool Season 2. I'm super duper hyped and I have a lot to prepare for it still, to be completely honest. It is 6 a.m. on the 6th, so, it's how I roll. But I hope you're excited. I hope I will see you there for the premiere. And like Trader of Season 2, I'll see if I can go ahead and get the episodes up weekly as they air so you can watch them. And you see we've transitioned over to trailer watch party at this point, so I should probably shut up. However, I just wanted to let you know that yes, season 2 is coming if you did not hear. I hope you enjoyed season 1. Thank you for indulging me. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for enjoying what I do. I hope you continue to in 2022. I love you all very, very much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night, morning, etc., wherever you are, and I will see you on Friday the 7th for the premiere of Sharpest Tool Season 2.